Hi, I'm Ben McGuire, and this is Tony Owens. We're here on the Air Electronics Engineering team, and we're here to talk to you today about a new solutions play with IBM Tape and Veeam Backup and Replication. Let's get started. So Tony, recently IBM and Veeam have come up with a new tape and backup solutions play. So do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so they recently recognized that there was a need in the marketplace to have a tape out piece of the backup solution.
Yeah.
And so Veeam and IBM entered into a partnership to work together to help address that for not only Veeam customers, but IBM customers who may want to use tape and need a backup solution.
Okay.
So they've partnered together to bring this solution together.
Nice, nice. Well, we're going to dive into a little bit more here, and then we're going to go into a demo. And then at the end of the demo, I'm going to interview Tony again. We'll do a little bit of recap. So Tony, you want to tell me a little bit about this IBM and Veeam solution play?
Absolutely. So IBM and Veeam have kind of partnered together in the background to address a need in the Veeam backup solution for tape out, or a second tier of storage, or a second tier within their backup solution. And this is a partnership that gives our partners an opportunity to dive deeper into a customer's environment.
Okay, cool. So Tony, why is tape, it seems like people, for a while were getting rid of it, and it's kind of coming back.
Absolutely. So, I have had many customers tell me I spent 5 years getting tape out of my environment, and all of a sudden I'm having to introduce tape again to my environment. Why is that? Well, the real reason is because there's a number of things that have gone on that are causing customers to have to reinvest into tape. That may include things like certification requirements, or policy requirements, or HIPAA or other type of government regulations and stuff that require them to take a tape copy of their data, not just have a backup on the disk.
Okay.
The other one we've seen firsthand here living in Georgia, we've seen ransomware hit the state of, the city of Atlanta and stuff. That's another big reason to have that air gap piece of the solution that once you've written the data to it, nothing can touch it because it's not electronically connected in any way to the systems or anything that's going on. So there's a physical separation, that air gap in there. So that's been the other big driving force in why a tape solution. Veeam obviously recently introduced that within the last couple code releases and stuff to have that added as a second tier to their solution.
Okay.
And again, when you start looking at some of the spaces, the healthcare, the financial, those type of organizations, they're getting those requirements now from the government that says backing up to disk by itself is not enough. You have to be doing more. There has to be an air gap solution as part of that. Okay. And some of them are state requirements. So, places like New York where they're a lot more strict on some of the regulations and stuff, these companies and these customers are already starting to leap ahead to make these things happen in their environment because they're expecting that to come from the legislative bodies.
Okay. So Tony, tell me a little bit about the cost savings associated with tape backups, or even as a secondary storage.
Great point. Obviously, as you look at longer term retention of data, the archival of data and stuff. Disk is what it is. Even cloud is most of the time when it's going to disk. That's an expensive solution for long term retention.
Yeah.
Tape becomes a much more cost effective second tier or archive solution for customers, and you're talking about a penny per gig forever versus a monthly fee or a incremental yearly fee when you're refreshing your storage. So tape as a long-term retention and holding of archived data becomes a much more cost-effective solution for customers.
Absolutely. So what do you think about used as a secondary storage instead of backed up to a slower disk? They just back up to tape and maybe they don't need the IOPS.
Well, that's exactly what most customers are doing. When you look at the primary disk pool that you're backing up to, the reason that Veeam and other solutions like that have become so popular is that initially that time to back up when I'm backing up to disk obviously is much quicker than it is to go off to a cloud or an archive type of level of storage initially. But for that longer term retention, the things that you need, I don't need to restore yesterday's information. I need to restore 2 weeks ago or 6 months ago, if depending on what the case is. That I'm going to have to go to a deeper type of storage, and I'm going to have a lot longer term retention on that. And that's where tape really comes into play.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. This is Benjamin McGuire with Aero Electronics. I'm your engineer for Veeam, and today we're going to be going over a brief demonstration of Veeam backup and replication with IBM tape libraries. I do have a library. I've got a couple of tapes that we're going to be sending some backups to, and for part of the demo, I'm going to be backing up a virtual machine and then doing a restore and powering it on. So let's go and get started. The first prerequisite that we will have to do is we're going to have to create a backup job of the virtual machine that we want to restore. The tape job that we will create after this will be backing up a job. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to click on backup job, virtual machine. I'm going to call it backup job 2, and I'm going to add a virtual machine. All right, this is the virtual machine I want to add. Total size is 21 gigabytes. This and typically you might have one or more backup proxies. For today, I'm just going to use uh, the the actual Veeam backup replication server is going to be acting as the proxy in this instance. It's a very small environment. I'm just going to do an incremental. I can do some synthetic fulls. And let's go over here. I'm not doing any backup from storage snapshots right now. That'll be in a later demo. And I'm just going to click on OK. Click on Next. Let's go back one. This default backup repository, this is the repository that's created when you install backup and replication. It will pick a drive. You can actually choose it, but it will typically pick one of the larger volumes that's located on the backup and replication server. In this case, I just have a LUN that was presented off of some local storage, or actually some SAN storage to this Windows host, and that's the volume that I've chosen to be the default backup repository. I'm not going to do any application aware processing or anything like that today. Let's just click on Next. I'm going to tell this job to run. I'll do every day. Let's go on ahead and apply. I'll run the job when I click Finish. And let's go on ahead and watch this job. Here in just a minute, we will see some of the a graph in here. We'll see the amount of data that's being transferred. One thing that's very interesting to note is Veeam has built-in compression and deduplication on the jobs that are run. The amount of data that's actually going to be written to the backup repository is significantly less than than this 21 gigabytes. We'll go and check that here in just a minute. And that's just with Veeam's built-in compression and dedupe. If you have something that does like a data domain or a store once or an exagrid, those devices with their hardware dedupe can get much better ratios even than this. Okay, it is almost finished. I'm just going to watch and let it finish out here real quick before we continue. Uh, this is not a, okay, yeah, this is just saying it can't log into one of the vCenter servers I have mapped. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so the job is finished. Gave us the load and gave us a primary bottleneck. So it gives you a lot of data here within this job processing. Let's go and check and see how big this file is that's been written to disk, and then we're going to kick off the tape job. So we're going to check on backup job 2. So here's a VBK. This is the one we just did, and the size is 13.4 gigabytes. Now we saw earlier that the original virtual machine was around 21 gigabytes. So just with Veeam's built-in backup or dedupe and compression, it significantly reduced the actual size written to disk. So from this job, we're going to go and create a tape job. And I'm going to do a backup. I'm going to call this backup to tape job 1. And I'm going to add backup job 2. I could, if I wanted to, I could back up an entire repository to tape as well. But for today, we're just going to be doing backup job 2. And I'm going to send the data to media pool 1. It's got 4 tapes in it, almost 2 terabytes of free space. And I'm going to click on next. I do only have one media pool. Media pools, media sets is how Veeam breaks out how the backups are actually written to tape. Let's go to next. I'm not going to eject media upon completion. I'm not going to do any exporting. Let's go over here to advanced, check on any settings. I don't need any notifications. If I did have a large backup chain, I wouldn't want to process maybe the entire thing. Let's say I had 5 or 6 fulls and a bunch of incrementals. I would have the option here of just processing only the latest chain, but we only have that one VBK, which is a full backup file. I'm not going to enable any kind of compression. Let's go ahead and click OK. I'm going to run the job automatically on these days. I'm just going to click, we'll just do it on Sundays. I am going to tell the job to run. When we click finish, I'll tell the job to go on ahead and run. And there is a box down here, prevent this job from being interrupted by source backup jobs. My server isn't too busy. I don't have a lot of jobs running. You might want to use this if for some reason you have like a maximum number of backup jobs. Then you might want to click this. That way, the job does not get interrupted or queued for a later time. And I'm going to run the job when I click finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the throughput here. We're going to check and see how much data was actually written to those tapes. And then when it's done, we're going to do a full restore from that backup to tape. And I'll tell it to power on on the ESXi host, and we'll go and make sure that it's powered on. Okay, now that we're in vCenter Server, we can see that Veeam 1, we can actually see all of the actions that have been running here within vCenter Server. for Veeam 1. So it's reconfigured it, reloaded it, and then created a snapshot. All right, now that it's pulled up, it says it's powered off. We're going to go back to the backup replication console. We're at 23%. And it's 11.6, so it's almost done. This should be done here very soon. This is actually telling me the mode that it's restoring it with. So NBD, this is essentially just network mode. So it's having to push the actual data for the virtual machine. It'll go from the tape library to the tape server over fiber channel, and then it will send from the tape server over to one of those, the host in ESXi. Then that's going to be going over the network, and we can see that right here. And it's actually going to do the uncompress the entire file as well. And we can see it's using the backup proxy. In this case, the backup proxy is the server that's running backup and replication. It has the proxy role installed as well. Okay, so we see success here in backup and replication console. We can just go over some of the statistics. So it was network mode, it powered on the restored virtual machine, and the restore completed successfully. The total time was 16 minutes, 58 seconds. Let's just go to close, and then we're gonna go to here to vCenter server. And right here, we can see that Veeam 1 is powered on, and it actually did that within VMware. So yeah, removed, revert snapshot, removed it, and then powered on the virtual machine. And all that was done using backup and replication. So we can see here the integration with VMware is excellent. Didn't have any problem pushing that that backup into VMware and then powering it on. And here it is. Let's just open up a console, and here it is. So fantastic performance by Veeam today. Um, if you guys have any questions about this demo or want to see any more integration, please feel free to hit me up, or Tony Owens. Any of your local Arrow account managers will have our contact info, and we're more than happy to walk through this demo with you. Thank you.
So, in closing today, Tony, why do you think our partners or any of their customer base would want to know about this solution?
Well, as we've said, there's a major cost savings in using tape as that second tier or that archive piece of the solution. But the other side of it is the requirements or security concerns that customers have in needing a solution that provides that air gap piece of the equation. So this is a great opportunity for our partners to go in and talk to their customers and help them recognize these savings or address these concerns.
Okay, absolutely. So how would any of our partners get in touch with us? What's the best way?
Obviously, reaching out through their channel managers or their account managers and stuff to get engaged with one of us and stuff to help them understand the solution a little better.
Okay, absolutely. Tony, thank you for your time today.
And thank you.